A nationwide survey reveals that most teenagers and parents believe that social media companies should take more responsibility for protecting users from online harms. At the same time, respondents urge schools to play a larger role in offering digital literacy lessons. They are also calling for stricter regulations to ensure a safer online environment. Alif Amshar reports.
4 years ago, Sandra Low faced a challenge that many parents know all too well, giving her two children, aged 12 and 14, their first devices. Determined to help them navigate the digital world safely, she set out to do the best she could. It's a dilemma that countless parents face as they balance the benefits and risks of technology.
One is, what content are you looking for when you go online? If it's just to scroll mindlessly, choose other options. If it's to research, be very intentional about it, right? Be very careful. Second of all is, when you're using devices, is it for communication? Is it to express things or share things with people? And then be very careful what pictures you send as well, because you know that you have a digital footprint that's there forever.
She's now on a mission to help others. Her brainchild, this digital tool, helps kids recognize potential dangers online, while also ensuring their parents are actively involved in the process.
So it's quick 5 questions. The child answers the same question as the parent, and then when the answers pop up, it will tell you whether it's matching or not matching. For example, the question will be like, okay, do you share your passwords? Someone wants to ask you for a password, do you share? The answer is no, you will not be giving, and then, which is great, but the better answer will be no, don't share, and also tell a trusted adult. You see, so that's the extra step in there. This is very important for younger children.
Workshops are also held for parents to learn more about digital literacy. Social media firms are also putting in extra defenses amid growing pressure to protect users. Instagram recently started to restrict features for Singapore users under 18. These include limiting who can contact the teens or the content they see. One analyst says that it's also important that parents themselves are familiar with how such apps work, so they know how and what to look out for.
You will also see social media companies having, some educational resources available for parents to tap on and find out more information. They also have some form of reporting mechanism that users can raise issues, so for teens to raise issues, so that the tech companies, social media companies can investigate, take necessary actions.
One sociologist, meanwhile, says that more needs to be done to educate people on how to discern what's safe and what's not online.
What kind of links are deemed dangerous, when to click and when to question, how to validate and verify sources of information. So all that, needs to be stepped up. If you look at the state of affairs now, and you look at the number of scams and the thousands and thousands of people who fall victim, right, because they click on the wrong thing, I think that's a clear warning to, to society at large, that we need to do more.
She also emphasizes the need for stronger safeguards to filter the websites young users can access, especially when they're online alone. After all, the content they encounter, whether intentional or not, can have a lasting impact on their lives.
And you can catch more on how excessive screen time is shaping the way Singapore's teens are living and seeing the world on CNA's 2-part special, No Screen, No Life. And now joining me with more analysis on teens' screen time is Dr. Clara Lee, Research Fellow at the Institute of Policy Studies at Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy. Dr. Lee, thank you for joining us. I believe many people recognize the negative impact that excessive screen time has on teens. Mm-hmm. But digital devices are such a key part of our lives now. Is it too much to just say cut screen time?
Yeah, so screens are definitely an integral part of a teenager's life today. They use it to connect with their friends. They use it to learn what's trending on social media. They use it to watch videos, to play games, among many other things. But in our study, we find that both parents and teens do recognize that some screen time can be beneficial. And this is especially so when teens use the electronic devices to view educational content. The sentiment for using electronic devices to perhaps use it for leisure purposes, for example, playing video games, that is a bit more mixed. But I think that also implies some degree of acceptance by parents, to provide some time for their teens to use electronic devices under specific circumstances. For example, helping their teens unwind after a long day at school, or after a prolonged period of studying. I think our study also finds that adjustments have to be made when such screen time gets too much and to the point whereby it starts affecting the lives of our teens, such as affecting their quality of sleep as well as their ability to concentrate in class.
Now, the survey shows that teens themselves are asking for more regulations. Did that surprise you?
Of course, right? So we understand that teens perhaps, love their devices. They like to do it for a variety of things. But I think it is also heartening that they are aware that they are excessively using the electronic devices and that they want something to be done to help them to curb their screen time.
What is the state of online safety in Singapore? Are there enough safeguards?
So I think the government has introduced a variety of measures. So for example, public education efforts that are not only aimed at teens, but also the general public on how to safely access online content and how to behave responsibly online. And there are also moves to get social media companies to curb the spread or even the publication of harmful content, especially for vulnerable groups like our children and our teens. But of course, more can be done, especially with content that is evolving every day. Like new content is being released. So are we going to play a game of catch up, or should we take a more proactive approach in dealing with that?
Now, what about individual personal responsibility? Surely the guardrails can't be just left to external parties.
Of course, right. So the individual can definitely do a lot more in addition to just regulations from the government. And I think from our survey, it also shows that our respondents are also aware that they should do a lot more. For example, instituting mandatory breaks, having parents having greater control over the screen time of their kids, or having the government step in to restrict the age limit whereby kids can perhaps access social media content or even electronic devices. So I think this shows some willingness to perhaps curb their own screen time.
But can we now talk about the role the parents have in mitigating the screen time? What kind of efforts should they put in?
So parents can definitely complement the efforts of the government as well as other stakeholders in society to mitigate the screen time of their teens. So a good start perhaps would be for parents to engage in family activities with their teens that do not require screens and do not require electronic devices. But of course, we understand that this might be challenging for some families who might, find it difficult, for caregiving reasons or in terms of their financial and resource constraints as well.
Now, I have here a list of recommended measures to control screen time. We have mandatory breaks, reminders, setting rules using built-in parental controls and devices, third-party apps or software. Now, which measures are most commonly used and, in your view, most effective?
So the most common or the most popular strategy that parents use is that of reminding their teens that they have used their screens excessively. But we find that actually does not really help in reducing the overall screen time of their teens. On the other hand, taking away the electronic device of their teens is the most strongly linked to a reduction in overall total screen time. But this strategy also is most associated with conflicts between parents and their teens. So we have teens reporting that they have more arguments with their parents, more disagreements about, the time that they can use their screens, feeling that their parents are overly controlling, and also deliberately hiding their screen time use to avoid conflict. Yeah, so this is one perhaps effective, but there are certain pitfalls, but not all hope is lost, because we find that with a more consultative approach, a two-way communication between parents and teens, whereby parents would ask the opinions of their teens with respect to, the screen time limits that they wish to set, provides teens with a sense of autonomy, a sense of ownership with respect to the screen time rules that are going to be set, and with them playing a greater role in setting the boundaries for screen time, teens will be more likely to accept the rules that are there, but at the same time also mitigate the conflicts that will result from having parents impose screen time limits.
Well, thank you so much for coming to the studio today and sharing your insights. Dr. Clara Lee from the Institute of Policy Studies at Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy. Thank you.